Okay, welcome back. You're still with us here on Editors Roundtable, and we're in conversation with Hiren Ved, just sort of wrapping up the week and, of course, what lies ahead. And, as I said, Nimish, you had a couple of wins this week.
Smashing it out of the
Well, let's
Sami
see.
and 361.
Yeah, so some deals went right. Sami went off very well. And it's a good deal, actually. GIC putting in money. At least there will be an institutional holder now. So that worked very well. Which was the other one? I forgot.
361, UBS.
Correct. So again, 361. Let's ask Hiren. What's your view on the whole, wealth management space? We saw the first big delivery in MNC came in and bought into 361. Nuvama is another good play.
I think it's a great space. It's a growing space. Yeah. Incidentally, I think what's interesting about this space is that the real strong guys are actually Indian companies, right? Because there was a time when you had the Stanseys and the Cities and the Barclays of the world, who've been kind of post the global financial crisis in India have been on and off.
It's like the broking sector, right? I mean, the foreign guys are all sometimes here, sometimes not here.
Correct.
It's the Indian guys who've
it's now really the Indian brands, the Nuvamas, the Kotaks, the IIFLs, the Motilals of the world, who have built these franchises, and rightly so. And as our bhaiya used to say, ladki sundar hai to aayenge, to ab gore aa rahe hain sab stake lene Indian wealth management companies mein. So I think it's a great sector. I think there is a lot of wealth created. I mean, post-COVID, we've seen an explosion in market cap.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs are selling their businesses. They are monetizing. They have wads of cash, which they don't know what to do with, and that's where the wealth managers come into play.
And that's exactly what the UBS team told me, that now if they are not in India, even though they are the #1 in Asia, the India pie, if they miss out, the ranking changes very fast because of the size and the sheer amount of deals that India is doing right now.
But also, Nimish, if you see the data, right, in the last 5 or 10 years, I don't remember, but the fastest growing billionaires have been in India.
Correct.
So this is the growth market for wealth. Right.
Absolutely.
So they have to come.
So what about the other capital marketplace? Anything that you have an exposure to?
We have exposure to both the exchanges, which are listed.
Okay.
We have exposure to wealth managers.
Okay.
And in fact, within financials, we have a larger exposure to capital marketplace than the typical lenders or the banks.
Okay. But do you think now it's time to shift from this to the lender? Just purely from a tailwind point of view. We put out a piece, Hiren, suggesting that, normally we've learned this in the companies as well. A change of guard leads to re-rating. Just with the new RBI governor at the helm, the Nifty bank is up 15% from the Jan lows.
Correct.
And he's done a lot of corrective measures, right?
Yeah, so I mean, it's for us, it's not either or. Okay. It could be both, right? So we do have lenders exposure. And I agree with you that the macro for the banks and the NBFCs have substantially changed. Okay. And I think RBI has, the new RBI governor has made a big difference in terms of easing regulation,
easing liquidity
massively, right? Which should aid in growth, and the balance sheet tightness that we were seeing. I think that's something of the past. So you will see the sector perform much better this year.
Hiren, in Pharma and capital goods, again with full disclosure, what do you own? I mean, just to give a sense.
Pharma, it's largely CDMO. So, we have, our largest exposure is to Divi's, which is the boss of the sector.
It's done well?
It's done phenomenally well,
What about this GLP-1 kind of, I mean, Divi's is a play in a way.
It's a large growth opportunity. I don't think we are playing it just because of GLP-1. GLP-1 is one big opportunity that is in front of these companies, and I think in general CDMO as a sector has a long runway for growth in India. I think India's competitive advantage is very, very solid.
And what about capital goods? I mean, what's the
So there
what segment you said?
largely our exposure is to power transmission area, right, where we think there is a lot of runway for growth because, with renewables, with data centers, with power required, you have to build the grids. And incidentally, India is also globally competitive. So a lot of the Indian electrical power goods companies are also exporters. And, we've already seen 2 wars being played out globally. At some point in time, those wars will stop and rebuilding of, their infrastructure and electric power lines and all of that has to happen. And that will only feed into bigger export demand going forward from here. So these are some areas that, we continue to like.
Okay, out of time. Hiren, thank you very much for
Thank you so much.
joining in. Enjoy your weekend, folks. We're going to call time on this edition of Editors Roundtable. Thank you very much for watching.